This is Onney.
How you doing? I'm Onney, the CEO. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate you coming by. With everything going on, it's just extra love when somebody comes to see you.
Most definitely. Well, the vibe is always real whenever we get together. So
it is.
I definitely didn't want to miss the opportunity for us to connect and fellowship.
Yeah, and you did call me a Renaissance woman on your show,
Yes.
but I had to do diligence to do some research on YouTube just because I normally don't. I mean, I love to keep this light and, just talk and chill and kick back, but you have done a lot yourself. Like, you have, so you sing, you do poetry, you model, you act, you write scripts, you write on your show, you host, you have different shows, you do publishing, and then I saw a picture of you with freaking Brandy.
Yeah, Norwood.
Yeah, and then I saw another photo, Eddie Murphy's wife too, Nikki Murphy.
I actually am invested into Destiny Moscato.
Okay.
And so she was the face for that wine.
Oh, very nice.
So when I would do my events, they would come and the Moscato girls would serve my beverages for my guests.
Very nice. How is that working with celebrities that big?
Well, it's never like, with me, it's no different than working with celebrities that haven't been discovered yet, because we all have gifts and talents. Some of us have tapped into it, and some of us that have tapped into it haven't had the opportunity to get the spotlight that those that have.
Yeah.
But even those that have been exposed and they're super celebrities, they're still human. They still have human experiences, and they're just people just like us. So I never really look at it like that. And I will say that I've been blessed that I never really sought out to work with celebrities. I've just always positioned myself to where I would get the right people attention at the right time.
That's good. That's awesome.
You do the work,
like
everything else will come.
Yeah, it seems like you've put yourself in a position where you're the same.
I'm outside the box too.
Not the same as everybody else. Let me fix the wording. Not the same as them, but I feel like you're as good as a big celebrity. Well, now.
Well, to me,
because
I feel
you've
like
done so much.
It's more or less legacy.
Yeah.
Than celebrity.
Yeah.
We have some celebrities that really don't leave legacy. Like, what have you done to give back?
Legacy.
I've done, I've worked with Nikki Antoine with Adopt a Diva camps. Diva stands for.
Can you elaborate on?
Yes, it's girls between the ages of 12 and 18, and we will mentor them. And I basically would teach a course in becoming successful in the face of adversity, because I came from childhood of child abuse and molestation and stuff like that, and I got pregnant for my first son at 15. He'll be 25 in February, but I got pregnant for my first son at 15, and when I got pregnant, I was told that I would never be nothing, I would never have anything, and my life was over. And despite all of that, I used that to fuel me to go against the odds. And so I think it was more like a competition to prove them wrong. But in the process of that, I found things that I was passionate about, and reaching back into the community was one of those things. So it really wasn't about popularity. It was more about passion and purpose than anything.
Yeah, I wanted to. Willow Ridge, if you're not from Houston, like,
Google us.
Yes, like that is the band.
They got some videos out there on YouTube.
Yes.
Class 96.
Yeah, I thought that was really dope because you've done so much, and because you have accomplished so much, and you're still accomplishing things, and you work so hard. The fact that you went to Willow Ridge, it just makes, I'm sure, kids out there feel like it's possible to.
Man, yeah, and I'm still not
successful.
done yet. Like, if you measure your success by your pocketbook, then you'll never be successful.
Right.
Because anything can happen. The world can crash tomorrow, and those dollars in the bank won't matter to anything.
That's true.
And so I'm really big on how I'm remembered. It's not how you live, but how you remember.
I'm the same way.
And so if I was to pass away tomorrow, I would love for it to be like a Million Man March of people whose lives I've actually impacted and touched. Not for, like, I don't care about the fanfare, of it, but just to know that my life was a movement within itself, you know, and I try to be the light that I wish to see, you know, and sometimes it's hard because
I know
when you're a light, you know, light attracts darkness. And so sometimes it's a battle because I'm an empath and I'm a humanitarian and I love to give back. I love, you know, helping people. That sometimes we have to be very, very cognizant of when it's God telling us to move or when it's ego telling us to move. And how you know when it's God is that you don't even think about it. You just do it without thinking. But when it's ego, you think, okay, well, if I do this, what would they think about me? That's how you know you're not doing it from a sincere place. So a lot of things that I did, it was happenstance. You know, Doris Ellis, she has the Houston Sun newspaper, and her son, rest in peace, Lionel X. Robinson, was my publicist at the time. And I was a writer, so he gave me my first opportunity in journalism, where I was the entertainment editor for Houston Sun newspaper for a few years. So that gave me another outlet. Even though I was an artist, I was able to meet other artists without exposing that I was an artist. I was just more into getting their story across. And then once the story published and they, you know, gave me my respect, when they went back to do their due diligence on who I was, they would come back anyway and double back and be like, man, why you didn't tell me you had this going on, you know? But it wasn't
but
for
you
me.
can't do that. And it's like people always get so mad at us for not telling them. But it's like, what would I look like if I was like, I do this, like, no.
Sometimes you gotta pat your own self on the back.
Yes.
You know, and every now and then, I will be honest, I have to remind myself. Because even with all I've done in my lifespan, I still feel like I haven't done enough.
Right.
You know, and I'm still not at that point where I could retire comfortably and know that my children's children are going to be okay. So until I feel like I've done that part, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep sewing, I'm going to keep doing whatever I feel will be a light in the dark place. Like even the stage plays, shout out to Melanie Nicole Wilson.
I'm about to put their names so people can look them up too.
She has Autism Moms Are Beautiful. She was just recently on my show, Outside the Box. But I had to give her roses because she brought me into writing stage plays. Now, I acted in like several of her plays, and I've kind of like, you know, made suggestions along the way where I was kind of assisting her in the whole evolution of it. So she was like, come on, let's write some plays. And she introduced me into playwriting. So when I did it, it just happened. It wasn't like I want to write a play because I want to be a big famous playwright. It just happened to be a sold out show when I did it. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like when it's God working on your behalf, you don't even think about it. You don't worry about the applause. You just do it for the purpose.
Right. And I feel like fame is like should never be existent. Like if someone is
fame could be short lived.
When you're a kid, that's really what you see when you want to be what you want to be. But then once you get into it, it's almost like the blue pill or the red pill. Like which one are you gonna pick?
Definitely. I feel like I would have gotten a lot further in my career if by now had I done some things that I wouldn't have been proud of.
Right, same.
And so I was not willing to risk my morale or, you know, for popularity. And that's something that we definitely deal with, especially if you're a model. You know, the photographers will get fresh sometimes and make you feel uncomfortable.
And then you don't even get your pictures because they salty because you didn't.
Yeah, and then, you know, or if you're an artist, a music artist, because we have some artists that are out there who will studio trap with the cookie. I'm not one of those.
Yeah. And
so, you know, I'm not bartering my body for services. Tell me what your rate is. If I have to go and work and save my little money, my coins.
That's what we do.
So that I can pay you, I'd rather pay you before you play me. I'm not doing it because what you have to realize, Houston, where we're from, even entertainment period, the circle is really small.
And people find out.
Once I started doing events like BET Awards, going to different functions with different celebrities or Essence festivals, I would find myself in these green rooms or VIP rooms
Mm-hmm.
with the same groups of celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically everywhere. They're going to all the same events. So if I
Mhm.
go and I do something that's going to deformate my character to get ahead, that is going to tarnish my name in that whole
Absolutely.
community. And I want to be looked at with a level of respect,
Absolutely.
you know, and resonance, like, okay, she's doing her thing without lowering who she is. Like, I'm not going to take away from who I am to get ahead. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I get that. I can relate to that myself.
Yeah.
So, kids.
I have kids. I have 3. I have 3 sons and a grandson.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest will be.
Do y'all hear this? She got a grandson. Where? Where?
I have 3 sons and a grandson. My oldest will be 25 in February.
Mm-hmm.
I have my middle boy is 21. He'll be 22 in January. And then
So
my
she had
youngest will
them.
be 17 on October 28th.
She said she had them when she was 15, but I'm like, you had them when you were like 7 or something.
Well, I'm only 40, so I gotta.
And she don't look 40. And you're vegan, right? Or vegetarian?
I'm not. I don't consider myself vegan or vegetarian. I just kind of stay away from meat.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. I think it's because I went through the Ascension process that my body doesn't digest meat the same.
What's the Ascension process?
Ascension,
for those who don't know.
For when you go through Ascension, a lot of times your body just naturally. It's almost, how can I explain it to those that don't know? Ascension is when you become almost like one with your body, and you kind of ascend to a high level, like you're working from your crown chakra, your third eye. And a lot of times when you ascend, your body will reject certain things, dairy products or anything that's unnatural, genetically modified foods. Your body just will start rejecting it naturally. You'll gravitate more towards
Healthy
alkaline and vegan based diet because it just won't process the same. So. Yeah.
And she has waist beads on as well, too.
Yes.
So she's they're so gorgeous. I love them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Showing all my fat.
What fat? No, we met each other. So we met each other. We did a photo shoot together.
Yes.
It was for Jeanette's Unique Boutique.
Shout out to Jeanette Hill.
Yes, and Miosha styles me too. I didn't get to say that on the show, but Miosha is a really dope stylist that styles me a lot of the time as well. But Jeanette is amazing, and she kind of put us together. And she told me a while back, she was like, "Oh, you gonna like her? She also similar." And but I was just like, whatever. Everybody says that. You don't think twice about it. But then when I met her, instantly, like first 2 seconds, I was like, I felt like comfortable. I felt like I've known her, and you're definitely ascended. Yeah.
You know,
I feel that way a lot.
I walk in love and light, and a lot of times when I do meet people or they dislike me, you know, I've heard a lot of times on my lifetime, you're fake. And
jealousy. But
no, I don't think it's that. I just think that we are in a culture that is so where love, authentic
they
love,
don't understand
is so foreign to them.
Yeah.
And they've been in such a toxic environment that they don't know how to receive love without having to sacrifice for it.
That's deep.
So for someone to meet them and genuinely show them kindness
and love,
the first thing they think is, okay, what do you
They're
want from me?
pretending, yeah.
You know, what do you want from me? What are you trying to get? And then to come to the realization that that person don't want anything from you, it's really hard to grasp when they've been in a cycle of codependency. So if you're dealing with codependent people, they are in the mindset that they have to sacrifice for love. So they don't even know how to accept love that's not toxic. When if it's toxic, it's not really love, but it is what they've comfortable in. And some people are addicted to pain in real life. If you're not doing something to trigger their wounds, they don't feel like you care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas
I do know people like that.
You should not have to be triggered in any exchange. And
right.
if you're triggered by anyone, take your power back by going back and discovering what has triggered you. So in my growth process, I learned early on, maybe not early enough, that it's stop worrying about what people think. Because
definitely
don't allow
I just learned that this year.
Their projection of their fears whatever their toxic behavior they're projecting on me, and then I'll feel like something is wrong with me,
or what you want to do and you don't do it, or you don't feel comfortable.
You know,
yourself.
And then also in being kind, because I also started a nonprofit. We we put it on pause for a minute because of everything that's going on. But I had did me and Nicole Wilson, we founded the Child's Perspective, which it was a nonprofit organization that targeted the social and emotional issues, but from the child's perspective, because we were brought up to believe that children ought to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
When actually you can learn a lot from a child if you just listen.
They know so much,
right,
and can help you with so much.
Right. And in the South, the kind of slave mentality was really embedded in how they reared their children. Extension cords and all that stuff should not have been introduced into discipline. However, it has been. That's toxic. So if you have not been healed from that, then when you raise your kids, you feel like that's adequate source of disciplinary, when that is abuse. It's still a cycle of continued abuse. So whether it's watching your mother get abused, or whether it's you being abused, and then you go and you tell someone, hey, this happened to me, and they use your traumas to trigger you, then that means that you need healing. You need to go back and do some healing. And I had to go back to my childhood, and I had to kind of like dig deep
and remember the horrible memories.
And when you remember it, I also want to give this little tip. You can actually change the trajectory of your memory, of how it affects you.
I do that in dreams, but never tried that in reality. Yeah. So can you elaborate a little bit?
Say for instance, like if you're in a meditative state and you revisit where you were at that time, and you try to go back and grasp all the memories that you can from what was in that room, who was in that room, and you almost like visualize something else taking place. And the thing with the brain is when you visualize something, it can't tell whether it's really happening in 3D or 5D, which is physical or dream state. It doesn't decipher the difference. So you can go back through a meditative state and heal your traumas by changing the trajectory of how it made you feel.
I'm going to try that because I meditate regularly.
I had to heal a lot of traumas because of my my wounding through my childhood. I became codependent, and I was attracted to narcissistic relationships, whether it was the girlfriends I had or the boyfriends I had, because my girlfriends, as long as I had money or as long as I was able to be on top of the world, I had a lot of friends. But when I hit a fork in the road where I basically lost everything at one point, I was able to see who my friends were because I was at a point where I had to say no. Not because I wanted to, but because I actually had to. I was in a place where I actually needed help, but I was too proud to ask for help because everyone thought I was so strong and so well put together, and I had so much going on for me. And on the outside, I did. But behind everything else, I was literally falling apart. Everything was like going through my fingers like sand, and I was sinking. And so the same friends that was used to calling me and saying, hey, can you help me with my light bill? Or, hey, I'm short on groceries this month.
Or come to my birthday.
I wasn't in that position anymore to do it. And in that season, what I learned was God set me down because I was playing God. You can lead in love and light.
I did learn that, though. You cannot be people's God.
Yeah, you can't be their savior.
No,
and so what was happening was the pearls that he was blessing me with, I was turning around and blessing the same people that he was trying to teach a lesson to.
Right.
And so every time they would mismanage their money or mismanage anything in their lifestyle, they can come to me and I will bail them out. So they weren't learning any lessons because they knew that they can tap into Onney and she was going to come through.
Right.
So in essence, he literally tied my hands and my finances until those people learned their lessons. And in hindsight, I learned a lesson too because you need reciprocal relationships. Not to the point where if I buy you a $10 meal, you owe me a $10 meal. but we both have to be fed some kind of way in our exchange, whether it's spiritually, whether we sit down, networking, trying to see how we can grow a business or something. It has to be beneficial. If it's not beneficial, it's artificial. And
yes!
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not
if it ain't beneficial, you need a little fedora when you say that with a cigar. If it ain't beneficial, it's artificial. You feel me? I gave him $30. I got that from my kids. But yeah, go ahead. My
you
bad.
know what I'm saying?
I love that though.
Yeah, you have to really look. And then people say, well, that's selfish. First of all, you have to have a level of selfishness in life because self-preservation is the cardinal rule of life. So if you don't preserve yourself, then you can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to learn how to exercise the power of saying no. If a person turns on you, mistreats you, stop believing in you, stop supporting you because the one time you said no, thank God, because that's God removing people from your path that aren't for you.
Right.
And we have to realize that on our journey, we can't take everybody with us.
We try and it's so hard as artists because our hearts are so big. You know? And we feel everything. The good ones feel everything.
Well, sometimes you can create a platform. That's how Outside the Box came about.
Yeah, you can.
Because I love giving people their roses while they're here. I love to see people doing things that motivate them, that inspire them to live outside the box, to go against the norm. 9 to 5 is not for everyone. I started doing spoken word 20 years ago, and I started performing with a 5-piece band. Shout out to Jaguar Productions. And one day we were just vibing, and I had the whole club singing this song. And because we would practice these songs and, rehearsal or whatever, but I hadn't recorded or put on wax. It was just something that I wrote, Poets that was on the set, they were like, oh, who published your book? And I'm like, I did.
Yeah.
They was like, oh, for
real?
She
literally has a publishing company, Black-owned people.
They're like, who published your book? I was like, I did. And so they were like, man, how much you charge me to publish me? Back then, I didn't know the value of my work. So, of course, I was doing it almost a little bit nothing because I'm just one of those people that love to see people win and get ahead. So, fast forward years later, Nicole Wilson and I, we decided to write these books called What is the Selfish Baby Mama and What is the Selfish Baby Daddy? And they're short stories of compiled circumstances that have happened between parents. So we interviewed parents, men, women, and children, got real life stories from them, and then I turned around and wrote them in story form. So you can kind of follow along with what happened with the baby mama drama. That's the dude that went to college and got his college girlfriend pregnant.
That's
and
crazy.
He went on to get his football career because he didn't really want to be bothered with her. And now she's stuck with the baby by herself. That was selfish of him. It's different stuff that we might not deem selfish that really are selfish. And sometimes as parents we can be selfish because we're angry. So we say things out of anger, not realizing our children are listening. And they're traumatized by some of the things that they hear. And so later on in life, they end up building resentment towards the parent that was talking about the absentee parent. So it kind of backfires on them. So we wrote those stories and those plays and stuff like that. So over the course of years, I published over a dozen authors right here from Houston. So it just kind of grew, and I have my own corporation and all that, and I have my editors and everybody. I have my little team together, so we get it done. I mean, your book can be published in 45 days. Yeah, so I actually have consultations. You can go to my website, which is www.onney.net, and you can also look up and see when you can register for my Publishing Made Simple workshops, where for people that want to self-publish, whether they want to self-publish or go with a different publisher, whether they go through me or someone else, they need to be educated on publishing. When I first started publishing, I guess because I was a young Black woman, people wouldn't take my company as serious. What ended up happening, they would go somewhere else and publish. And then either not get their royalties right, or that that particular publisher ended up copywriting their work under the publishing company instead of under the author. It would be like other stuff, and then they would call me and be like, "Oh, Nate, what can I do?" Book out. Well, Infinite Silhouettes. It's a book of my poetry. Be sure to support it. It's also available on Amazon. Yes, look me up. Also, If you know anybody that's into podcasts like such, be sure to follow Outside the Box with Onney as well. We're on 13 different platforms.
Yes.
And check out the show featuring the one and only Desiree.
And your Instagram?
It's Onney the CEO. Onney the CEO on all platforms. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything. You can find me there.
And she's this way on everything. She's awesome. You will see. Just get you some popcorn, some chips, some Kool-Aid, some juice, some tea, some rice, whatever
all
you want, and sit down and watch all her stuff because it is just all fun to watch.
I'm a casting director for Brothers Forever Productions.
So we need to talk about the casting. I do know that you're a casting director as well. We didn't bring that up. And she does art too.
We do casting calls. So movies, we have Pawns that's dropped out. We're doing One Way Out that's going to be released soon. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. We also have the series 6 or VI, however you want to say that. That you can find that there. That's a series that's out. And
I'm in 6.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got shot at.
Yeah,
6.
6.
Yeah.
So we have all kind of stuff. I also do painting. I do acrylic painting and epoxy resin painting.
Yeah.
So be sure you can actually see some of my artwork
I'll
on
insert
my Instagram.
photos.
Yeah. So I have all of that going on. I don't know. I'm just everywhere. I'm just a busybody. I'm always putting out new content. If you're looking to get published, look your girl up. Set up a consultation.
Yes.
I'll get you right. If nothing else, even if I'm not your publisher, even throughout the consultation, you'll learn something from that you can take wherever you go. Because I make sure that my authors are educated in how to cover themselves in the long run. Because if I die tomorrow, I'm going to need you to know how to get your royalties. I'm going to need you to
please
know.
Please don't die.
I'm just
somebody
saying.
Literally
will say that.
Somebody know my manager. My manager was over here 2 weeks ago. He passed away. He passed away, girl. And I had just saw him, so I was like, "What the heck?" I just saw you last week, and then that next week,
life is short.
We made that together. It's just a poster with what I'm supposed to do for my next single.
That's awesome. It's a vision board.
Yeah, but he was so adamant on coming to make this board, girl. It was not scary, but he was just very we have to do this. We need to get this done right away.
Vision boards work.
They do.
Yes,
they do. I got them everywhere.
Visions and as a word of advice, since she brought that up, I will say to those that are watching, know that the road has not been easy for me. I am human. I am actually, I'm not human. I'm just an out-of-body having a human experience, okay?
She is extra celestial.
That part, I'm just having a human experience, but stay inspired, stay motivated. Write your goals down. Make it plain. Do mirror exercises. Constantly confirm to yourself who you are. You are worthy. You are definitely worth it, and you definitely could do it if you set your mind to it. Don't do it for popularity. Do it for passion. Do it for purpose. The popularity and the coins will come. I promise. Onney the CEO, follow me. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.